Hello world, Patricia O'Connor and Frida Reba Darcy here today on the Bonsai balcony. It is as you can see, I would say that's a cloudless, beautiful blue sky. It is late afternoon. Our temps are in the high 60s, low 70s, and we are absolutely loving life. I'm Patricia O'Connor. This is one Frida Reba Darcy. This is our bio goal, just in the nick of time. And in this episode of the Bonsai Balcony, on this, it's breezy too. I didn't mention that. It's a little breezy today. On this beautiful day, I am going to take a moment to dole out the food. Last time, I think in our last video, we did a show about feeding, and I mentioned that I was out of fertilizer, but that I had more on the way, and that it wouldn't take very long to get here. So yeah, that came today, which was timely, very timely, and this is the stuff I use. It's Bio Gold. It's single digits across the spectrum. It's 555. That 3 cubes right there. That's what it looks like when it's pretty well unused. And 3 cubes of that would be a dose. And we would put a dose in about a 4-inch square area, which is what that would be. Then over here, that would be 4 doses. That's 4 squares of 4. The other side of that root mass looks like 3. That little third of the end of the pot there on that side looks to me like that would be another 3 doses. 3. And then here on this side, that would probably be another 3. So it'll be quite a bit of that to fill that guy up. And then we move on to the oak, and we do likewise. So I'll just keep going with what I just said. So that's that 4. And you can already see where I had some out on this guy. There's some that's not really that used up on this tree already. It got some of the last of it. I'm feeding it heavily. And for reasons. I'm feeding it fairly heavy for reasons. And those reasons are, we are grafting this tree. We are wanting to keep the energy up. We have hauled the tree back and forth from here to further up north in California. The tree's been through a lot this year. So as far as what I can do to counteract that is I can, just like last week, I unwired the tree, because I saw that it was weeping quite a bit in between the strands of wire where it was growing in between it. And I thought, ponderosas are not known for being super hyper tolerant of that. So I removed the wire. And you can kind of see where we placed that guy up there. Filled in all of our cracks with cut paste. I big believer in the cut paste. But I'm still making our little 3 cubes. So that's a 4-inch square. That to there would be a 4-inch square, we'll call. This guy, this area, a 4-inch by 4-inch square. Frida is wondering what the trees did to get such a grand treatment. I can't get these confused, but you can go, Miss Frida. I know it's dark in there, huh? Okay. So some more treats doled out free this way. Just gonna go right in there with those guys. And I'm skipping around. But that's got that oak. All right, where did I leave off on the Ponderosa? Okay, I see where I left off on the Ponderosa. Okay, that's got us there and there, and that's got us there and there and there. Okay. Where are you going, Pat? I think we'll go in front. Okay. I had to go around our structure with the camera. Is what that awkward looking point at the wall move was. Blocking is things they do in real film. It's why you never see awkward moves like this whenever you typically. Everything is walked out and thought through. All right, that has got our Ponderosa fed. A quick look at it. It looks like to me like it's starting to respond to the wire removal. A lot of the tips on these branches were pointed upward because we had kind of bent them that way with the wire. We were the ones that had more say over the direction of a lot of these branches with our wire and our bending shenanigans than the growth pattern. So when we cut the tree loose from all of that wire, cut it up into little pieces and pulled it all out in little pieces as much as we could. A lot of those tips were then kind of hanging down. That creates a couple of issues that you do kind of need to be concerned with. One, that will keep the tree from getting energy in the direction in which it had been oriented to get the most energy. And two, the places where now are getting light is sometimes the backside of needles that used to get sun full on front. Now it's getting sun more on its back shoulders or neck or something, so to speak. And what I mean by saying that way is you can sunburn a needle because it was always used to getting sun on this part of it, and then if you unwire it and it hangs down, now this side is not used to being in full sun, and it'll burn before the tree has an opportunity to fix that. So the way around that is to be patient and ease the tree back in. So what I've just done was I've just given my Ponderosa pine, which is a single flush long needle pine, which is also being grafted. We just gave it its dose to keep it going. I also, in that same amount of time, did the same with my coastal oak. We'll see this tree again in less than 24 hours. More on that later. But see, it's got every area about that big has a dose, and a dose being three cubes. So the 3 cubes is the amount. That's our accelerator. And our brake is when we pull it up or when we stop. And with this Ponderosa, I won't be stopping for a couple of years. It's a Ponderosa pine in development. We want to see it grow. We want to see it increase its vigor. We want to see energy as much as we can pump into this tree. That's kind of like what we would like to see. We also wanted to take its winters the way it's supposed to. That's sort of why we've also got those graphs on there. But we're not. But the part that pertains to this show is we're not going to stop feeding this tree or this tree. Being an oak, or probably this cork bark oak will get fed year round, as will these 3 cypress trees, these 3 bald cypress, which are also in development. The outlay for these guys is these guys probably take on the most of our by themselves. These guys take up the most biogold because of the amount of surface area, just the amount of surface area on here alone. Basically what I make sure is that all 3 trees have a dose on all 4 corners, which means the corners of the tree that face the other part of the tree, there's going to be a double dose there, because there's going to be mainly 2 trees feeding on them. Now I know that all 3 trees are going to have roots fanned out all over the whole thing, but this tree has got food, and food, and this one has food, and then that side, and then that side. And also, I would say, whenever we feed these trees, we will notice, whenever you go into your spring feeding, for instance, you notice that everything fattens up quite a bit, especially if it's the first year of your doing the feedings. Well, we see a lot more girth in the trunks of stuff. And now, why would I not feed? There's a couple of trees already that I've walked around and have not fed. God, that's just so dark. Can't even see what I'm doing in there. For instance, my pine trees that are in bonsai pots, and we've done the needles. They will not get fed. This is a multi-flush pine. It has its new buds coming out where we've clipped its candles. It will not get fed until fall. However, this little ponderosa behind it in a bonsai pot will. I threatened to chop this tree in our last program, and I just thought better of it. I'm having serious thoughts about taking the top of this tree out to keep it small, but I don't want to do it. I'm just gonna hold off. On doing any major work to this formal upright ponderosa right now. So, yeah, if you were wondering what happened to that, yes, I did mention that, and I was kind of on the fence about it when I said it, and I haven't really changed from that. So I just decided to. If you feel that way, then don't do something. There wasn't something that had to be done. I will be feeding this guy and this guy, because those are both, actually that's a Japanese black pine, and it had its candles cut. So I won't be feeding this guy, but I will be feeding the little ponderosa. I will be feeding the little ponderosa next to it. And I'll be feeding the little wiener dog who was longingly looking at all the dog treats being doled out. In last week's show, I had what I thought was a failure, and it was a failure on my end of camera, but it didn't affect y'all's end. But while that was going on, I wasn't 100% sure that I was even shooting. But what I did during that spot was I saw where this wire was digging in, and I tapped my screen to get this to come into focus faster, and it went black. And I had no idea if the video that I was shooting had gone black as well. But what I would like this to focus on now, and I'm not going to tap the screen because I don't want to show you what I did last time by repeating what I did last time, was that it was digging in up here. And I instinctively thought to remove the wire, and I got it mostly undone, and then I thought, wait, why do that? You're just going to put it back. So I unwound it to here, and then you can see the wire marks there where it was originally. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but what's barely visible is the wire mark here, the wire mark here, and a good bit of little dig in wire mark here, and a good little bit of dig in wire mark here. And in all those cases, I was able to ride this wire just above that ridge. So long story short, I took the wire out of the trench that it was making and reapplied it somewhere else. For the most part, I would say that my bald cypress, having done guy wires, which I think are partially effective, and having wired branches on here, and having done clip and grow, with the exception of wiring up new apexes, for the next run, I'm mostly clip and grow when it comes to these guys. There is, to some extent, these branches, these older branches that you see that are straight, those guys were pulled down straight with the guy wire, but so were the ones above them that have risen back up. They have a tendency to do that even if you pull them down the way you want to with the guy wire. One way around that is to what we have here is if we just decided at some point to stop. But look at the ramification we've already built. One bifurcated into two. That's bifurcated into two nicely. This could have done a little better, but then out here it's doing okay. We need to see some more stuff out here for balance, frankly. But I'm pretty happy with everything we've been building in here so far, with all of that branch structure, turning those ones into twos. And in instances where the branches start working their way back up, the one method that I saw that I think would fix that, and I haven't utilized this yet, but it's kind of like I put it in the back of my mind for my bag of tricks. Say this heavy branch that has bifurcated off nicely and bifurcated off nicely in all the other ways, let's say it had decided to work its way back up. Then what I would do was I would put a wedge cut halfway from the bottom, halfway up, and then over here right next to it, halfway up, and just remove that tiny little wedge that I would have made in that guy. Then I would put a guy wire and pull down that gap that I made. I would pull that down closed and let that heal and callus over on both sides. That wedge that I just cut out of there is not going to heal over for say, but both sides of that cut will heal over, and it will grow stuff in the direction of the bend that we've done when it heals, and it will be more likely to stay in that shape than from then on. So if you have branches that keep working their way back up on your cypress tree after you've already worked with them and got your bifurcation off the way you want to, don't fret it. Put a wedge cut in the bottom of them. Don't cut them all the way through, of course. Put a wedge cut going about halfway up, and then use a guy wire to close up that little gap you made. And that is what I believe will be the method that I intend to use to do any finish up work that I have to do on these guys when I get to that point. So let's see, where am I here? I've still got some work backside on all three of them to do. Yeah, like I said, the cypress trees, but then they also take the most water, and they break down the most biogold for that reason, which also is to say that before I started feeding with biogold, I was wondering why I was not seeing the mycorrhiza that I would have been expecting on repots. And then that changed. That changed when I started feeding. When I started feeding with biogold, that changed. It has a lot of microbes and or promotes microbes. I'm not gonna go selling what critters it has. I don't know what it is that it has in it, but I know that after I started using this, the amount of mycorrhiza I saw on repots was very, very much encouraging. So yeah, I'm trying to do a better job of follow what I'm talking about with camera. Japanese black pine does not. Ponderosa does. Get fed is what it does not and does. Also, I suppose the maples will get fed. This little ponderosa is getting its couple of doses. There you go. I think I pretty well removed any of the little problem branches. I actually didn't remove anything. We had some branches where we saw we had a lot of dead foliage on from where our light rig deboggled here over a month ago. And there wasn't anything that wouldn't have gotten cut back or pruned back later in the year anyway. So I just like, well, okay, let's just prune that back to a length that if it vibricated off, we would be good with, instead of just cutting it where it's broken. Let's just go ahead and cut that back to where if it vibricates off with that, that'd be a good thing. Otherwise, it'll vibricate off in a way that we really like, but it'll do that way, way out in a place that we're not planning on keeping, which would kind of come off like a missed opportunity, I think. All right, so you can kind of see here these little burnt cavities, and some of you guys have mentioned that biogold does that to your moss. It also promotes the heck out of this moss, because I have never seen the moss grow like this thick, to make this kind of a thick pillow like this. Three would be like 3, I think. Until I started feeding. And this was one of the guys that did get a repot after we discovered the joys of feeding. So that was one of the ones where we could see the good we were doing. Now, if I were going to show this, or I were more concerned about that slight bit of burn or stain, I don't even know if that's burn, it might just be stain. And then it takes up the space of the moss, and then it melts and leaves a hole where it used to be. So it might not be burning. That might just be the cavity left behind from where those things eventually melt, and I've shoved them down in there. But yeah, they definitely increase the microbes. Oh, that's pretty good. This little Japanese black pine here needs a feeding and a little bit of weeding. I have been shuffling trees around. The idea is to get as many trees as possible in as much of Del Sol as possible. And by moving those little ponderosas around this one, I was able to move this 20 year from seed out here on the rail. And I think I'm watching it close, but I think that's a good spot for it right now. I think that's the right place at the right time. And then a lot of these trees over here are ponderosas. So this guy got a heavy needle cut, candle cut in last year. So we decided that it can take the year off pretty much. And so that's why you see me continuing to feed it. These little black pines in the tray here, they all have had their candles cut, and they're all taking the summer. They're on a summer diet. They are. They're hard to see. I'm feeding stuff through the trees now. This guy will also get fed year round and go back and get more feed. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to continue on like this for another 30 minutes or so until I get our stragglers taken care of. But it's a feeding frenzy on the bonsai balcony. It's a really pretty, lovely day. Today they had some machines running downstairs in the garage, so it was kind of loud. I got kind of a late start up here, but it was a nice time to do this anyway. They got the kids playing at the pool in the apartment. It's cool, and the evening is cool, and we're all just kind of cooling our jets. And with our stuff, with our new victuals, fresh victuals in, the trees were certainly ready for me to dole that stuff out. And pine in the corner, dawn redwood, maple, those pines, those little pines, and that should just about, no, trident maple, wisteria, and other wisteria, and that should just about take care of us. Like and subscribe if you guys have not already. That kind of is a little follow-up to the thing I couldn't do when I did our spot about fertilizer, was I couldn't actually show a dose, or I couldn't actually show me using it because I was started the show talking about how I was out of fertilizer. But I appreciate you. Frida here appreciates you. And thank you guys so much for watching.